Human beings are biological creatures. We are inextricably linked to the natural world through the food we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe. It's obvious we are a part of nature, yet we continue to use the earth as a dumping ground. Whenever I give talks about conserving nature, the one question I'm always asked is, what can I do? Well, my foundation has researched the 10 most effective ways that Canadians can protect nature. When I first saw the list, I was shocked. My response was, you've got to be kidding. Those are way too easy. Well, it turns out these steps are deceptively simple. Each item has surprising ramifications. If thousands or millions of Canadians did at least 3 of the 10 steps, we would make a real difference. That's why I'm inviting all Canadians to join me and take the Nature Challenge. Taking the Nature Challenge is easy. Visit davidsuzuki.org, read the list of 10 steps, commit to doing at least 3, and sign up. That's it. If you're already doing most of these steps, sign up anyway. It's important to show the number of people who are taking the Nature Challenge to measure how effective we are. Simple things like taking transit to work once a week and buying locally produced food can conserve nature without greatly changing our lifestyles. In fact, you may find that taking the Nature Challenge will improve your quality of life. The video you are about to see features highlights from my 4-part documentary series, The Sacred Balance. It's all about our connection with nature. I hope you'll enjoy it. You'll see how special the natural world is and why it's so important to protect it. Come with me on a journey to places far and near, seeking lessons from wise people and the land. Everywhere on Earth, you can see the impact of our species. Our power is tremendous, but we've forgotten what it depends on. Scientists are gaining new insights that link us inseparably with the world that gave us birth. Humankind first appeared about 200,000 years ago along the Rift Valley of Africa. We had no special strength, speed, or senses, but we did have an enormous brain, wellspring of curiosity, inventiveness, and a prodigious memory. As life moved around them, our distant ancestors recognized patterns, watched seasons come and go, understood animal migrations, plant succession, storing knowledge crucial to survival. For 99% of our existence, we lived in small family groups, embedded in a world in which everything was inextricably linked to everything else. In such a world, any action has consequences. Every deliberate act entails responsibility. Okay. We passed on this understanding in songs, dances, and stories. They told of our place in the universe, our obligation to maintain the abundance around us. It's a way of life many groups today are struggling to retain. Just a few hundred years ago, we learned a new way of seeing. It was called experimental science. We conceived of the world as a kind of machine, a clockwork mechanism that we could understand by taking it apart and examining it piece by piece. It's been a powerful way of knowing, taking us into the heart of life and matter and out beyond the solar system. With science and technology, we have transformed the world around us and our own lives. Around the world, cities are now our principal dwelling places. Economies search the globe for raw materials and markets, spreading a dazzling promise of limitless consumption. Ancient worldviews lose their power and die. We've lost our sense of interconnectedness, broken the link with ancestors and generations to come, forgotten what keeps us alive. We have a new responsibility, making sure we don't deprive future generations of what we have taken for granted. We have to define what our survival and well-being depend on, the real bottom line.
Climate experts are almost certain that this will be the hottest year. The northern constants are so low that the federal government is finally agreeing
that the common weed killer 2,4-D causes...
Environmentalists and many scientists say if we don't cut carbon dioxide emissions
there's
from
a
cars
hole in the
industry,
ozone layer.
Come on, let's go. We need to look again and see an Earth that is alive.
Looking at the Earth as a living entity, I think recognizes its self-regulating, its emergent nature. It's not just a collection of rocks and atmospheric gases and water and organisms. It's much more than that. It's an entity in its own right. And I think looking at things in that sense is a very necessary step in our culture.
From space, we look back and see the truth.
Every time the sun comes up and down, and for us going around the Earth once every hour and a half is 16 times a day. And every time you see it very well, that thin, thin, thin layer just above the surface. And we're way above that thin layer. And that's the atmosphere of the Earth. That is it. A few tens or dozen kilometers. That is it. Below that is life, and above that is nothing. It's vacuum.
From the Australian outback to the British Columbian coast, Indigenous people around the world provide a different perspective of our place on the planet. They speak of the Earth as our mother. They say everything is made from 4 sacred elements: earth, air, fire, and water. We too are made from those sacred elements. As biological beings, we're dependent, like all other living creatures, on the planet's life support systems. We are the water we drink, the air we breathe, the soil that feeds us, the energy that keeps us going. Let's take a look at those elements. Water wraps our planet and brings it magnificently to life. Volcanic vents at the bottom of the ocean may have been life's nursery, born from a potent mixture of energy and water. Water behaves like no other substance on Earth, shifting its state, freezing, melting, evaporating. The dance of the water molecule creates the world as we know it. Life moved out of water onto land, carrying its own ocean with it. We humans make the same journey, born from water into air.
Let it go. Yeah. You're going to be just fine. Oh, no. Oh.
We enter our new element as it enters us. The air moves through us, linking us to all breathing beings in the planet's past and future. The atmosphere is a single entity, connecting the human world with every part of nature. In the Canadian Rockies, scientists are exploring what the atmosphere has carried here over the past half-century.
Snow dome just behind this ridge. This year, it's right at that.
They've been sampling glaciers and find pollutants from the other side of the world, laid down year by year in layers of ice. It's a stark reminder.
I think it should tell all of us that actions in one part of the planet via this interconnection with the atmosphere is likely to have consequences for other regions. So I think we all have to act together to control the contamination of this mutual atmosphere that we share.
The sun is the primal fire.
93 million miles, the light has to come. And what's amazing to think about the sun being 1 million times as huge as the Earth. It's just this vast fire that enables all of life to take place here.
Only 1/billionth of the sun's energy reaches Earth. Enough to fuel all life, death, decay, and rebirth on the planet. The sun is in us, feeding all the functions of life. Released as fire, the sun's energy takes life apart so that new life can appear. Long ago, we humans played an active part in that cycle of renewal, tending the sacred flame. But now, we've forgotten that role. We're burning up sunlight stored over millennia, disrupting the energy cycle that creates life on Earth. Solar energy ferments in the soil, where death turns into life and reaches for the sun. Long ago, we learned how to tap into the power of the soil. We became creatures of the earth. Now, all 6 billion of us depend on this thin, living layer.
Soil is where diversity really lies. We look above ground and we say, ooh, look at all the plant species here. And we go, oh, there's 10, 15 different plants in here. High diversity doesn't have a candle to what's here in the soil. It's a huge diversity that I'm holding right there in the palm of my hand. We're looking at 40,000 species of bacteria. It's a community. You can sort of think of this as New York City.
The web of life on Earth, biodiversity, replenishes soil, captures sunlight, cleanses water, and creates air. We are also social animals, woven together by a fabric of relationships that make us fully human. We learn to love by being loved. It's the force that forms us as we grow in the womb, binds us into the human family all life long. Love is more than feeling, it's a physical necessity.
With your mummy's grandpa, and we pitched our little tent right in it. We didn't know it, but it was shaped like this. So it started.
Love connects us to each other and to a wider world. We are part of a community of organisms to which we're genetically related. We may have an inbuilt need to affiliate with that living world.
You're saying it's genetic. We're born with that kind of instinctive...
Oh, yes. It's part of what I call biophilia, a word that's begun to get some currency. The love of life, not just the love of life, but the innate, hereditary tendency to affiliate with life, to be attracted to it, to like its variety.